conviction, it's my distinct honor to introduce you to our speaker. Ben Chandler represents Kentucky's 6th District in the United States House of Representatives and serves on the coveted House Committee on Appropriation. He also serves on the Science and Technology Committee and serves with 11 members of Congress on the NATO Parliamentary Assembly. In Congress, Representative Chandler has taken the lead on many issues of importance to Central Kentucky families. He has fully supported our military and troops' work to increase funding for Homeland Security. He is a member of the Blue Dog Coalition, the fiscally conservative Democratic Caucus, and he has continually backed responsible federal budget plans that extend middle-class tax cuts while slashing the federal deficit. He has also introduced legislation in Congress to prevent child and elder abuse, improve the safety of air travel, and keep drugs off their streets. Prior to serving in Congress, Chandler served 2 terms as Kentucky's Attorney General, and previously to that position, he served a 4-year term as Kentucky State Auditor, where he developed a reputation as a strong fighter against government waste and corruption. Please help me welcome Congressman Ben Chandler.
We wrote that introduction. It doesn't come as a surprise to anybody. No, thank you, Mary Pat. Appreciate that very much. And this business about you being a triathlete, I'll tell you what, that impresses me. I thought I was crazy for doing what I do. You're crazy. And you talk about courage. I think more than anything, being in this business is just craziness. But you just don't know any better. But on this triathlete business, I really don't understand that. You see, whenever I get the urge to go for a run, I lay down and let it pass. That's how I handle that sort of a thing. But more power to you. Good to be with you all today. It's always good to be in Danville. Boyle County is a special place to me. I've got a lot of connections here that go back a very, very long way. I always recount some of those when I come into town. I do want you to know that I deeply appreciate the opportunity to represent this county in Washington. It is a tremendous honor. Anybody who's given the honor by the people of Central Kentucky to go up into that lion's den that is Washington. In the last year, it's been kind of a dubious honor in a sense because it hadn't been as much fun as it's been in the past. But just to know that I'm being sent up to Washington with the heavy responsibility to represent our people up there is, well, it just means a lot. It means a whole lot. And I'm very proud that you all send me up there, and I thank you for it. My connections with this community go back at least as far as my grandfather, who was always so proud of the fact that he was an assistant coach on the Center team that beat Harvard. Now, I don't know if you all knew that Center beat Harvard. Anybody here know that? Well, I thought you might know it. But that was a big deal to my grandfather, too. And he was really very, very proud. But what's interesting is even though he had a fairly significant career in politics, serving as governor a couple of times, U.S. Senator, state senator, lieutenant governor, all that stuff, and baseball commissioner, what he really was a football coach. That's what he was. He was the high school football coach at what was old Versailles High, and still has the winningest record in Woodford County high school football history. But what he really wanted to be in his life's goal, was to be head football coach at Center College. And that's a fact. And he was the assistant coach at that Harvard game. Later, when Uncle Charlie Moran retired, he applied for the job and they did not give it to him, needless to say, and that's when he went into politics. when they did not allow him to be head football coach at Center College. But needless to say, Center College is one of the great institutions that we've got in this Commonwealth, and we're all very, very proud of it. I'm proud of it enough to have it be one of only 2 institutions that we give a internship. We have a dedicated internship every semester for a Center College student in my office, and I'm very pleased to provide that, and I'm happy that Center has taken advantage of it, that the kids have taken advantage of it, and I think these internships are extremely important for young people, and we try to get as many kids in as we can, because I had an internship when I was a kid. When I went to college, I had one in the British Parliament, and it changed my life. And that's what these internships can do for a lot of kids. It can mean a whole lot and really help them grow. I think, first of all, that it's awfully nice to be home and away from Washington. I'm sad to report to you that I have to go back tomorrow. We're starting up again with the session tomorrow. But this has been a lovely 2 weeks to be home, and boy, it really rejuvenates you when you're in Kentucky in the springtime, doesn't it? I mean, if there's a prettier place, allergies aside, if there's a prettier place in the country, I don't know what it is. We just had a thing this weekend in Lexington where the UK Business School had a program for the former president of India. I don't know if you all saw that at all, but the former president of India has been in town teaching some classes at UK. And in connection with that, the head of the Indian caucus in the Congress, who's a congressman from Seattle, Washington, was in. And I've known this fellow for a while, but he had never been here to Central Kentucky. And he said, I have never seen anything any prettier than this. He got here, of course, just at the right time. When the dogwoods and the redbuds are blooming, that's when you need to be here. You all probably want me to talk a little bit about what's going on in Congress. I've got a talk here. I'm not going to give it. I'm just going to say a few things about some of the issues that we've been confronting, and then I'm going to open it up for questions, if that's all right with everybody. The 2 things I think that people are probably more interested in than anything else are the economy and health care. Those are the 2 things that we've been dealing with principally, more than anything else. Of course, a lot of people think we've just been dealing with health care because that's all people have heard about, and that we haven't put much attention on the economy. But actually, we've been doing a lot of things on the economy right along, a lot of very significant things on the economy. But as you know, I guess there are different ideas about exactly how we got into the situation that we got into. But in 2008, September of 2008, we had what amounted to an enormous meltdown in this country. Consumer confidence just fell to rock bottom almost overnight with the banking crisis, and I think that came on the heels of the gas prices that summer going through the roof. I think that shocked a lot of people's systems, and then when the banking crisis hit, people just shut down all over the country. And there were a lot of manifestations of that, of course, in lending practices and so forth, the availability of money, a lot of manifestations. But Congress at that point had to make a decision about what to do to keep the country from going into what I think most commentators would suggest to you would have been a full-scale depression. And of course, none of us wanted that. What the Congress did was the Congress passed a major bank bailout bill. I voted against it for a number of different reasons, but the Congress passed it with the belief that something had to be done, and I think something did have to be done to arrest the failure of all of these banks, and it gets us back to some deeper questions about why we should have, or whether we should have, institutions in this country to begin with that are too big to fail. That's a question that a lot of people have asked for a long time. My own belief is that it's bad for the country to have institutions that are too big to fail, and we ought to do what we can to limit the size of those institutions. And there's some legislation that's getting ready to go through. I think that's the next big thing we're going to be talking about is legislation related to the banking system. None of that's been talked about, though, to any great significance, or none of that's been heard by the general public in the last several months, because everybody's been talking about health care. Health care has sucked up all the oxygen in the room.